Have you achieved success and a high income, but still lack personal fulfillment and work-life balance? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Successful But Struggling podcast. Join us as Aaron, Eunicia, Joanne, and Mim share transformative insights and practical strategies just for you. Discover real stories and lessons that will elevate your personal satisfaction, professional accomplishment, and financial empowerment.
Welcome to another episode of Successful But Struggling. Today, you're in for a treat because we're talking about transitions, and we're speaking about transitions from a very unique standpoint, from a coaching standpoint. And who better than Dr. Erin Hurley to guide us through this discussion as we're discovering how she has not only transcended because she's been able to leverage a lot of coaching support, but how she is transforming really the world of medicine when it comes to the type of clients and the type of services that she offers. So without further ado, Erin, welcome. I'm so happy we're having this conversation today.
So good to see you, Eunicia. And I want to talk about change because we've been focusing a lot on things that create stress and how can we change those things and make it so that change doesn't have to be so stressful. And I don't know how you feel about stress. I tend to deal with stress a lot better than most. I'm a fast adapter and I'm used to change. I embrace change. And yet I found that even I can do certain things to manage my change much better. And those are the things I wanted to share with you today, talking about what's our mindset around change? What am I telling myself? How can I better manage change by doubling down on my self-care and keeping myself in a calm state so I can function at my best? And then also, how can I pay attention as I'm going through the change in order to course correct if the original plan I had set up for that change isn't going as expected, and what do I need to do to adjust?
Erin, I love that you went to change and that, the transformations that happen as a result of that. Listen, you've experienced a lot of changes in the last just few short years here. You've retired successfully from being in medicine, from practicing as a physician. You've changed your financials. We talked about this before entering the studio. Your kids are off to college. Everybody's at a point where things are really good. And you touched a little bit on what are some of the things that you're doing. What would you say is maybe the number one thing that has helped you become most successful as part of that change or as part of those changes and transitions that you've experienced in your own personal life?
The power of my mindset and really taking an active role in my outcomes. And it's all about mindset. And what am I thinking about change? And I actually just coached my son. He joined the military. He's in training and he has stress anxiety. And for him, he's putting a lot into, he needs to pass his test to move to the next step. And he's telling himself it's all over. And I said, hey, can I put my coaching hat on, take the mom hat off, put the coaching hat on? And I'm like, how is that thought? It's all over, because he didn't think he was going to pass the test. How's that serving you? And so I coached him through shifting his mindset and coming up with a new thought about this big test that he has coming up. And instead of saying it's all over, saying, I've passed every test so far and I'm doing everything I can to continue passing. And that drives a completely different set of feelings. Oh, now he can feel hopeful and confident. And when he feels hopeful and confident, his actions are different. He's going to lean into the studying and he's going to not procrastinate and get distracted. And it's going to make it easier for him to pass versus thinking it's all over and having a feeling of overwhelm and dread.
So true.
Yeah. And so as I think about managing change, if I think, oh, I hate change, and that's my mindset, how do I feel when I tell myself I hate change when I know change is coming? What kind of feeling does that raise in you if you think I hate change? For me, I feel like overwhelm. How about you, Eunicia? Does that bring any positive thoughts?
The thoughts what that brought in my mind as you're talking about tests and what's next and how do we talk to our children about mindset. I've had the similar conversations rather with our 16-year-old, and for the longest time she's been wanting to open up her own business, and she came to me one day and she said, "Mom, please listen to this. I want you to understand I've already made up my mind." She said, "I will be launching a YouTube channel. Here's the reason why." Boom, boom, boom. It's very well articulated. And I just want you to know that I am not putting the business on the side. I think that one is a continuation of the other, and this will enable me to do boom, boom, boom. And it's going to help my business in this way and that way and the other way. And I just stood and looked at her and I thought, oh my gosh, she must be listening to some of the things that I'm listening to, because, I'll walk around and she'll hear some of my conversations with my own mentors, right? About what are the things that I'm doing to change that mindset and to overcome that resistance, because we all have it. So my question to you, Erin, because you work with a lot of physicians and frankly, a lot of the executives that are too busy, they don't know how to get their time back. What are you seeing in terms of the people that are resistant to change and maybe they want to do the one or two things and then they call it a day, versus the people that lean in? Give our listener a taste for what that feels like and how it feels like on the other side once they've embraced the opportunity to change and do better.
I love seeing what happens when people embrace that change and they're ready for it. For example, one of my clients was ready for change, knew about coaching in medicine, really was in a tough place and recognized that and wasn't getting where they wanted to on their own, and decided to fully lean in, invest in themselves. Nobody was coming to their rescue. Nobody was going to pay for my program. And they decided, I'm going to invest in myself. I've done my research and I was a good fit for what they wanted. And can you imagine going from dreading work every Sunday leading to Monday back at the office, dreading work, even though going into medicine was something that they worked hard for and they wanted to cherish and have joy in that. But dread was the feeling they had. And that feeling of dread has now completely transitioned because of their investment in themselves and putting the work in, not just paying for a coach, but doing the work, showing up every week, taking advantage of the resources, the robust resources that I've provided and leaning in. There's no dread anymore. This person is now fully leaning into taking on leadership, no longer looking at transition to a new position, a new location, or even a new place of employment. That's not even on the radar. And it makes me so excited because the transitions happened in a very short period of time. Within a couple of months, I was seeing those transitions. And that is not only showing up in their work, but in their relationships outside of work are much stronger. Their relationship with themselves is much stronger. And yet they've gone through lots of changes, stepped into some big roles. And because instead of feeling like a victim, which is how I started before I started working with a coach, oh, life is so hard. I work so hard. Nobody appreciates me. Maybe you can relate. To what am I doing? What's on me that I can change? And as I started making more and more empowered decisions with the encouragement of my coach, my outcomes changed significantly. And because I'm a fast implementer, I was getting changes within 3 to 6 weeks that I couldn't get in 20 years. And I love now taking my ability to change and now leading others who are ready to do it with help and support. And much different than a conversation by the water cooler or a sidewalk consultation where somebody says, oh, ask me a question here or there, and they're not a coaching client of mine. Those people who aren't ready to invest and aren't willing to lean in fully, they don't get the same results as those who are leaning in fully and getting full benefit of all the robust resources because they've chosen to invest in themselves.
That is so, so powerful, Erin. And honestly, you took me back. Oh my gosh, you took me back several different paths all at once, which is doesn't happen often. Or rather, it's hard to do that to Eunicia. You talked about dreading Mondays. Here's what I will tell you. I loved my job back when I was in corporate America, being a strategy consultant, running at a pace that in many cases was 10 to 20 times faster than really our clients. What we were seeing on a day-to-day basis with our clients in different industries. Still, Sunday nights to Monday mornings, especially given the fact that I was traveling so much, they were brutal. And you also talked about the desire for people to want to excel, to want to go after that new role or want to go after that new position, and kind of sometimes their inability to do that. Here's what I will tell you. I wish I would have had a coach. I wish I would have understood or known that there was an opportunity for me to actually pay for support back when I was in those roles. Listen, the money was there. I could have absolutely afforded it. But frankly, for me, I didn't know that was a thing. And the reason I'm sharing this and I'm so passionate about it is because if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I've got my friend that I'm picking his or her brain. I got this. We're good. You've heard me talk about this. I don't believe in free. Free is not going to get you very far, and free is going to cost you a ton if you really sit and analyze it. But the other thing that oftentimes I see happening, and I see this more and more in medicine, in consulting, and in business services in general, in corporations, is the companies have become very smart to say, listen, we're going to offer you these resources. Just trust us. We want you to do really well. And what we end up seeing is that people still don't progress and people are still miserable because not only did they not pay for that service, but guess what? That service isn't provided truly for your ultimate well-being. It's provided for you to continue to be a good employee versus when you have the knowledge, and I'm speaking about this from personal experience, when you have the knowledge of how to change your mindset, and you're surrounding yourself with people that, yes, you've invested in their support to get their support, a beautiful thing happens. You transcend from dreading the Mondays or dreading the Fridays or whatever day you're dreading to desiring and wanting to go after a new position, to seeing those things actually happen for you. The positions come, the dread goes away, and the joy starts settling in because guess what? You know that those things that previously you were pushing for, they're going to come to you through the power of attraction. But that doesn't happen unless you have the right support on your side.
Yeah. And I love that so many people, especially women, might shy away from leadership roles. And we so need women in leadership roles. And they think it's going to be a higher cost. I'm already working so hard. I'm already exhausted. I'm already overwhelmed. And what I love is showing individuals actually new strategies where you can actually have better outcomes. For myself with my coaching, I got a raise because I was showing up a better version of myself, even though I was spending less time at the office. I learned new ways of doing things, get more done with less time and energy. And those are strategies I share with my own clients. And so they can actually step into more demanding roles and actually spend less time, have less energy expended there so they have more time for themselves and their loved ones. And it's not the cost they thought that it would be, because they're learning new ways of doing things, not just relying on themselves to figure it out, which takes a long time to do. And they may not have that capacity.
Talk to us a little bit, Erin, about the framework or the methodology that you employ to help individuals, clients that you work with to kind of break free. We talked about mindset. That's a huge thing, but you yourself have had so many coaches, have been part of so many programs. You're accredited as a coach on different platforms. What does that methodology look like? Because I'd really love for our listener to understand that, hey, again, it's not just about having the coach. It's about having a battle-tested approach that can guide you step by step. And it's not just a loosey goosey, hey, we're going to hold hands and sing kumbaya. That's not it. We're going to have fun, but it's more about we're going to follow into a structure. What does that look like for your program?
What I've brought to my program is 3 different coaching platforms. One is about helping people stay organized with a planner system and goal-oriented, project-oriented, to not get stuck in the busy work, to get your life's work, your projects done, and at the same time maintaining that balance with work and home life, your health and your productivity. And then I also have a high-performance platform that really helps us use our influence, our productivity, research-based areas that if you focus on those things, you're going to have better outcomes in all aspects of your life, career and home life and relationships, all while using well-vetted structures that are going to help you get more productivity, more things done, use your influence, have better conversations, better outcomes without having to figure it out on your own. So that's a high performance coaching platform. And then there's another coaching platform that uses some tenets in mental health, cognitive behavioral therapy, where it's that mindset shift, where we can actually be faced with the same circumstances. I've got these changes going on in my life, and we learn to use our mindset shifts, the thoughts that we're thinking, to change how we feel about circumstances, to change the actions we take and those we don't take, and that drives our outcomes. And then there's my experience, 25 years as a leader in medicine, my 10 years working with family trauma, and I mix that all together, and that goes together to form for healthcare providers, happy, healthy healers, and then also for maximizing production. And again, one of the things that I find the people I work with are so busy, overwhelmed, and often exhausted that I want to help lower the bar and help them get way more done and spend less time and energy doing it with high quality outcomes. Obviously, working with physicians and healthcare providers, we want to not compromise on quality. That's always at the top of the game, but usually we can get even better quality outcomes by working on that, using that system.
I so appreciate you sharing that, because if you're listening to this, you're probably thinking earlier, how in the world do we bridge the gap between stopping the dread and actually attracting those positions and attracting those bigger things to come to us? Well, you just heard it, right? Oftentimes people will say there's no such thing as work-life balance. Let me tell you, I've personally experienced what Erin is talking about, and that planner system. I've tried so many planner systems in the past. I'm probably an expert at trying planner systems, and I've got the proof, right? I've got a lot of different planner systems that I went ahead and I bought for a year in advance, and they're sitting on the shelf gathering dust. Whereas when I first started speaking with Erin specifically about what she's teaching her clients, it's absolutely eye-opening. It draws you in, and it makes you realize that it is possible to actually gain back time. She was also talking about productivity and influence. That high performance, this is where you're starting to attract the kinds of things that you're wanting in your life. It's because you're increasing your productivity, not because of somebody else, not because you're incentivized somehow financially to maybe do that, but you're increasing it because your level of being, your overall energy raises. And because you're attracting that influence and you know how to step into that influence yourself, especially if you've been in a situation where it's best to just do everything to the best of your ability, that's wonderful. But you do have influence. People do look up at you. How do you step into that? That is so powerful. And then the mental health and the mindset. So you've heard Erin talk about all of these different things kind of in unison. But at the same time, we need to figure out a way to bring them all together. And she's done that in such a beautiful way. I love that, Erin. So, Erin, the other question I have for you, and I know that our listeners are probably kind of have their ear peeled to the radio or to the speakers here, is this idea of self-care. You touched on it earlier. Tell us more about that.
So many individuals, oftentimes women especially, often think that self-care is selfish, or everybody else's needs need to be met first before you can focus on your own. And what I realized is that I need to take much better care of myself in order to take the best care of everyone else. So when I do my own self-care, everyone wins. And I remember as I started my self-care journey, one of the things I started doing about 5 years ago was meditating. I made it super easy for myself. As I said, I like to lower the bar for myself and my clients to make it really easy to adopt new habits. So I downloaded the Calm app on my phone, and I now do it first thing in the morning before I even get out of bed. My alarm goes off or I wake up, time to get up. I don't snooze anymore because I know that derails my morning. But what I do instead is I listen to my Calm app. And now instead of one meditation, I listen to two, which is close to 20 minutes. And what I found is that when we're managing change and we want to do it well, we need to not get so busy focusing on the change that we let our self-care habits go by the wayside. We actually need to double down. And I found this out the hard way because when I was going through significant changes, my family was setting up some short-term rentals we had bought internationally, getting ready to close on these properties, flip the properties, all of these new things that we hadn't maneuvered through before. And I was getting really grouchy. I was irritable. And I'm thinking, what happened to me? What's going on? And I realized when I looked at my Calm app, the prior month, I had only done about half as many meditations as I usually do. And then about 6 months later, same thing. We'd bought another short-term rental property. We're getting ready to flip it. We've got all this decisions going on, lots of chaos and overwhelm. And I was grouchy. It was so bad that my husband and I have a great relationship. I was thinking, if this gets any worse, I'm asking for a divorce. Like, this is not okay. And you know what I realized? Once again, I looked at my Calm app. I'd done about half as many meditations as my normal. And I have learned that lesson. That was a couple years ago. Now, when things get crazy, lately we've had busyness going on, my son graduating, my husband retiring, all of these things going on. You know what the first thing I do every morning is? I meditate. I get both of those meditations in because I'll be darned if I'm going to once again have that happen where I'm not showing up my best, especially when I have change. And I don't know what that is for you. Meditation can look so many different ways, whether that's getting a full night's sleep, whether that's getting alone time, meditating. And especially if you have hard changes or big changes coming up, double down on that self-care first. Make that a priority.
That is so powerful. So meditate is definitely one of the things that if you have not started doing can be huge. Erin, what I'd love to do is to make sure that we talk about, maybe we can talk about more of the self-care in a future episode. What are some of the other things that you do that have helped you? I know that you exercise and I know that you have a regimen. Clearly, we talked about the planner system. So stay tuned for some of those additional ideas. We will talk about them because they're very, very powerful. Erin, before we conclude today, is there anything else that you would like to leave with our listener in terms of, how do they navigate change? How do they go through their own transformations on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So we talked about mindset. We talked about doubling down on self-care. The other thing is when you create a plan for your change, hopefully you're not going in it blindly. Be fully present with your circumstances. Be grounded. Pay attention to those details. What are those clues that are being left so that you know, am I on the right path for change? Or do I need to alter the course? And by being fully present, paying attention to, do I have some gut feelings that are saying this doesn't quite feel right? Or you're getting some friction from some team members or your family, or people are saying, hey, have you thought about this? Instead of saying, no, I've got it all figured out. Have the right team in place and listen. Listen to yourself, listen to your team, and then say, oh, this is the path I thought that I was going to take, but I see that there's another little route that might be even better. Let's course correct. And then again, revisit. And that's one of the things I love about the planner. you get to reflect each day, each week, each quarter, each year is built into the system so that you're not just blindly following the path that may be completely irrelevant, even though 6 weeks have passed or 6 months have passed. And so being fully present and the mindfulness, the meditation helps with that, having the right mindset, being open, all of those things work well together in order to better manage change. And change can be something we can be excited about and maybe embrace instead of dread when we focus on our mindset, when we focus on our self-care, and when we focus on paying attention to the path we're on and then course correcting when needed.
That's so powerful. So mindset, self-care, and be grounded and listen to the path that you're on. Listen to your gut instinct. And you guys hear me talk about that a lot. If your gut tells you something's wrong, something is wrong. But at the same time, you might be more of a giving person. You might be giving the benefit of the doubt to everybody else around you. And sometimes it does take a village to raise a child, they say. Sometimes it takes a little village to help us get into those blind spots that maybe we didn't know were there before. Listen to your team. If somebody brings to your attention, hey, I see this might be something that's off, listen to it, not because they're biased or vice versa, but there might be something there that maybe you're not seeing. And that's kind of going back to the power of the team. Erin, you've dropped some amazing, amazing knowledge today in our show, as always. And what I would tell our listeners is, if you're listening to this and you have questions and you want to learn more about how has Dr. Hurley, how has Erin gone from being a physician to totally transforming and going through a lot of changes, let me tell you, a very short period of time in an exceptionally successful manner, do me a favor, do yourself a favor. Go to successfulbutstruggling.com. You're going to see her bio there. Click on her bio, book some time with her. Pick her brain. Please don't expect free, because my guidance as a friend is free is only as free as we want to make it. Pick her brain from the standpoint of how can you transcend from where you're at to the next level, because I guarantee you there are going to be some nuggets there where you go, oh my God, I never thought this was possible. So without further ado, stay tuned to the next episode. Go to the website, book a call with Erin, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Don't miss out on more strategies that will elevate you to new heights. Visit successfulbutstruggling.com now, where you'll discover exclusive resources and the opportunity to connect with each of us individually. There you can dive deeper into how you, too, can take your personal and professional game to the next level. And if you're serious about optimizing your results, take 2 quick steps now. Number 1, connect with us on the website. And number 2, tune in to the next episode.